Okay, I'm going to attempt to film this whole video with this one. Very interested in having food. But today we are talking about, basically, I think I'm gonna label this something like you get what you pay for, or practice what you preach, something like that. Basically, I wanna talk about the phenomenon of people complaining about the dating culture and never being able to find like a committed relationship while still engaging in like hookups and casual flings and stuff like that, because it's a mixed bag, honestly. So essentially my frustration with, and not really frustration, like everybody can do what they want to do. It's none of my business, honestly. But I do kind of, I don't know, it's kind of funny that many times the people complaining about not being able to find a committed relationship, not being able to find the one partner, all of this stuff, are people that very casually date and tend to sort of casually hook up. They really don't put themselves out there in a way, they don't position themselves in a way that makes people think that they're here for the long term. So I am not here to judge. I am not here to like judge a person's decisions. However, I will say, if you're looking for a committed relationship, you really need to act like it. You need to put those messages out there, and you have to really stand by those beliefs. So if you are a person who genuinely just wants to find a partner, wants to find a person to spend time with, to really build a life with, you know, maybe you want to live with someone one day, you want to get married. Like if you have these kinds of goals, it doesn't make much sense to be on Grindr or, you know, casually hooking up with people, or, you know, going out to the bars and ending up coming home with somebody. And I just find it kind of ironic that the people I know who very much crave a long-term relationship really don't act like it. They don't participate in activities that would help them find somebody, and instead they sort of get frustrated with it. They may try once or twice with somebody and then they're like, oh my gosh, this generation is awful and I can't find anybody. Fair estimation of the world, but in many ways, you can't do that, you know, like you just can't. If you want a long-term relationship, you need to set up and go as you mean to go on, go forward as you mean to go on. I don't know how that saying goes, but what I mean is, like, if you want a long-term relationship, you should not be sleeping with somebody on the third date. And I know, especially in the gay community, that is quite a controversial opinion, but I think it's valid. So if you want to build a relationship with somebody, you should know their last name before you end up in their bedroom. You should know what their favorite color is before you know what kind of color of underwear they're wearing. There are some like really like basic, really easy setups to essentially getting comfortable with somebody and building a long-term relationship. But if you're gonna casually hook up with somebody, the chances of them seeing you as a long-term relationship are pretty small. And the chances of you seeing them the same way, it's not happening, you know? And humans are really good at doing this. I don't want to call it hypocrisy, because I mean, humans are like hypocrites. Like we say one thing and we do the other. Like politicians are always like getting in trouble for saying one thing and then doing the other. But this isn't so much hypocrisy. It's kind of a paradox, really, when you think of it, because the people that seem to be obsessed with finding a relationship seem to like really struggle with getting into a relationship. And the ones that aren't actively looking for a relationship often end up in one. And, you know, there's a big concept in Taoism, like in order to go left, you must go right. In order to go up, you must go down. And I've talked about this recently as well. But there is this, I don't know, fact of the universe, whatever you want to call it, that you almost always end up in the opposite position of where you wanted to be. So my dad likes this saying that you can tell what any political bill in the world does, like a political piece of legislation. He's like, all you have to do is whatever the bill's name is, the opposite of that is what it does. So he gives the example of there's a bill in America, and I don't know much of this, but he gives the example that in America there is a bill that was called the anti-inflation bill, and it like caused inflation. And so like I'm not here to debate that, like apparently that's what happened, but there's other examples that he gave me. But it's funny that like one often meets his destiny on the road to avoid it. And I don't know if that is a direct Dao quote. I don't think it is, but it's in Kung Fu Panda, so that's pretty close. But yeah, you tend to come to things unexpectedly. And I think that can be applied to not just dating. You can apply it to almost anything, any factor or facet of life. However, the one that's most pertinent to my generation is certainly the dating and that aspect of, like, I just need to be in a relationship. And I see so many people struggling to get into a relationship, but they don't set up the foundational stuff in order to find a long-term partner. They're not putting in that work. They're not changing the way they behave or they act. And it's frustrating. Like, I understand, like, dating is hard. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not an easy generational thing to do. There are a lot of factors that contribute to people not wanting to be in a relationship. However, there are steps that we can absolutely take every single day that increase our chances of finding the person we want to find. And whether it's interacting with communities that you're interested in, if you're really into tennis, join a tennis club. You might meet somebody there that shares your love of tennis. You really hit it off. They're an attractive human being. Boom, there you go. And I often get this question asked by young adults and people who are a bit older, and they're like, how do I make friends? Like, how do I create new friendships and stuff like that? And I say, you have to go to places that really embody who you are and find a passion for those things. So if you're really into books, a public library, great place, because the only people that go to a public library are people who really love books and they like reading and they like learning different things. You could go to a bookstore. You could go to a hockey rink. You could go to a country club, like a Western bar, or, there are places that tailor to specific people's interests. And by doing that, you increase your ability to find what you're looking for. And so, when I say you get what you pay for, you deserve what you work for and you earn what's coming to you, essentially. And of course, there's factors involved there. I mean, there's a bit of luck. I talked about luck last time. There's a bit of good timing, being in the right place at the right time. That has always been a very human thing that changes fate. If you're there at the right perfect time, then suddenly, things work out really well. So there are some factors that you can't control, but by their nature, because you can't control them, you don't worry about them because you can't. You just hope that those factors work out for you. However, you do get what you pay for and you do achieve what you work towards. So if you want a beautiful body, if you want just the most stunning body and make everybody jealous, if you're not going to the gym or eating healthy every single day trying to achieve that, it's always going to be a fantasy. It's always going to be unattainable, So you need to start the steps and you have to start paying a price in order to meet whatever you're trying to purchase, whatever you're trying to obtain. And a well-rounded, honest partner is a goal. It is something many people strive for. Not everybody strives for it, but it is something that a lot of us strive for. We really want a partner to really see the beauty in us, to work with us, not against us. And in order to do that, you have to be driven. You have to focus on your goals. I do get a little frustrated with the whole red pill self-improvement movement, especially the kind of Andrew Tate-esque movement that has some toxic elements to it. I'm not here to cast judgment. From what I've seen, some of those communities have a really good amount of like driven motivation, focus, personal responsibility, and that's awesome. But some of it's a little too extreme, some of it misses the mark. And I guess like the real problem that I have with that self-improvement motivation is they don't really account for, you know, everybody is attempting to do their best or attempting to put in some effort, and they're really critical. They are really, really harsh if you miss the mark, you know? So in my assessment, I don't think it's necessarily essential that you hit your mark, but you do have to try. And that's where I sort of agree more with that community, is that you do have to put in the effort, you do have to take your shot, you do have to put in the work and pay the price, because it's just unattainable unless you do that. You know, it's not going to be handed to you. Nothing should be or will be handed to you based on just luck or who you are or what you do. So I don't know. I basically like the purpose of this video was essentially just to talk about, you know, if you want a genuine relationship and that's something that you covet and that's something that you really value, there are steps that you need to take in order to do that. And if you aren't taking some of these steps every single day, just complaining about not getting into a relationship isn't really going to cut it, you know? And yeah, I don't know. I was kind of hesitant to make this video because a few of my videos recently have been about relationships and dating and that kind of stuff. And one of them recently was about, I don't like how our culture is so obsessed with dating and things like that. So I was like, and now I'm catering to it exactly because I'm talking about relationships and how to get into one and, you know, why we're so obsessed with it again. But I do get a lot of comments about people who are really struggling to try and find connection. They're trying to find somebody to spend their life with. And most of them are incredible people that are working really hard. They're trying to achieve their goals. They're trying to keep their head above water. You know, they're doing really amazing. But I do sometimes encounter people who really can't get out of their own way, and they can't understand that, like, you really got to work. You really got to work hard, because being a passionate human being, whether you're passionate about your life, your family, your work, your education, whatever it is, your hobbies, passion is incredibly attractive. And trying to achieve your goals, that is something that other people look at and they're like, man, that determination is attractive. That desire to improve yourself is a very attractive concept and asset you see in people. And I do sometimes worry about people who aren't actively trying to get better every day, because they're freaking out about not finding a relationship, but they're not really engaging in behavior that would make themselves better, make themselves happier. And by becoming happier and becoming healthier, you tend to find somebody who's like-minded. So again, I'm really not trying to like bum anybody out or like talk down to anybody, because I get it. Like, life is effort. It's a lot, you know, like we are run off our feet most of the day. We have to deal with all kinds of distractions and manipulations, you know, advertisers, the sugar industry alone. We have so many distractions in social media and influences that are trying to gain our attention and suck our attention out of the day. So I really sympathize and I understand that, but, and this is where I'm gonna kind of sound like these red pill people, but like you do have to be better. You do have to be stronger, because that's how you end up with a great life. That's how you end up with a life that you're really proud of. It's that hard work. And, you know, I really do believe that you can achieve whatever goal you set yourself by just 1% better every day, working on those goals, you know, taking the stairs instead of in the elevator. Like, it's just simple things like that that I do think compound in someone's life and really help them. So I don't know, take it or leave it. I won't judge you either way. I'm just trying to basically voice out my my thoughts on this. And, you know, there are things that I definitely need to improve on. There are things that I slack on that, you know, I think I can get away with, but I won't be able to get away with them forever. You know, I have work to do. I have things to create. I have people to connect with. And, you know, if I want my goals to be achieved, nobody's going to achieve them except me. You know, I'm the only one that's going to cash that check. So that's kind of the self-motivation that I need today. So I hope everybody is having a beautiful day. I hope life is going well. You're getting ready for, you know, October and all of the joy that brings wherever you are in the world, whether you're coming into winter or coming out of winter. And yeah, I wish you guys the absolute best. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that incredibly. If you're interested in talking to me one-on-one, you can check my Patreon, which is down below. And please feel free to leave questions, comments, anything you like. And of course, as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.